This is Danny and Gallant on 710 ESPN Seattle.
Streaming nationwide on the 710 Sports app and 710sports.com.
Now here are your hosts, Danny O'Neill and Paul Gallant.
Time to put on the show.
It is Danny and Gallant. Gearing up toward the Super Bowl, and for the Seattle Seahawks, we got a chance to hear from Seattle's offensive coordinator, their new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, yesterday, and we get a chance to meet him right now. He joins us now here on the Danny and Gallant Show. And Shane, first of all, I'd like to say congratulations. This has got to be a really exciting opportunity for you.
Good morning, guys. No doubt about it. I'm fired up for this opportunity. It's an opportunity of a lifetime, and I'm ready to attack this new challenge.
Your first time as offensive coordinator in the NFL. What's going to be most challenging for you in this new role?
Well, I would say if we just started today, kind of going off subject for a second, but my wife's up in the Bellevue area looking at houses in this COVID time. So I had 2 girls that I had to survive school drop-off with, and culminating with making sure their ponytails were in the right spot. So, that's my biggest challenge so far. I survived that. But I'm ready to get to know the staff, the players, and I think the biggest challenge in any of these things, given the uncertainty and making sure that we're following all the safety protocols, is just the chance to be around everybody. And if we're not able to be in person, being able to do a great job of developing and cultivating those relationships, whether it's through Zoom or on the phone or FaceTime or whatever means we need to do to make sure we're going forward in the right direction as far as getting to know each other.
Well, I hope the ponytails were all straightened out and everything went well in terms of the drop-off. You have some Northwest roots where you were born in Oregon and then in college went to New England, went to Tufts. I'm interested in how you got into coaching. When did you decide football coaching was a path you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, so I had a chance growing up I grew up right outside of Portland in a little town called Carver in the Oregon City area, and I went to LaSalle High School, and my high school football coach, Ray Baker, was a huge influence on my dream of becoming a coach. Just the impact I saw that he had on so many of my friends and people in the school. So that really started it. And then I was able to go off to school, go to Tufts. I had a great experience there, but I wish I was good enough to be a D1 athlete and all that stuff, but that wasn't the reality. And so, all along there, I wanted to get the most out of my experience. Met a lot of great people there. And then as soon as I finished up, the one thing that I guess kind of gets skipped over in the steps of the process was I was able to do a postgraduate year back east at Phillips Andover. And Leon Modesti was the coach there, and he was able to, when I graduated college, kind of long connection being made here, able to put me in touch with the Patriots. And all I really wanted to do the second I finished college was, A, not have to move back home, and B, get started in coaching. I just wanted to be on my own. I wanted to do my own thing, and I was ready to go. And so I got lucky enough to get an internship there with New England, and it started my journey. And there's been a lot of turns along the road, and it's ultimately led me here.
It must have been an incredible place to start, just given the way that things started off when you were with New England at first, 2002, 2003, 2004. You said yesterday at your press conference, it's vital to adjust and adapt both this year and beyond. And after the season, there was things that we were hearing about how there might have been some frustration in the offense from some key players on the Seahawks offense. Based on your observations of the Seahawks offense, I'm sure you've had a lot of time now to try to dive into the film and see what worked, what didn't work. What do you think was missing most down the stretch last season?
Yeah, I think I'm really cognizant of that, and I know I don't want to hit you with a bunch of coach speak right now, but I really am truly focused on what guys can do and what we can do moving forward. I don't want to get into overanalyzing things in the past. So, what I do see is I see a group of guys, some key pieces in that offense that are back. I know there's a lot of things that get worked through with free agency coming up and some stuff that I'm still learning as far as the exact structure of the roster as I get a chance to hear from everyone in the organization. But what I know moving forward is there's some great pieces that I think can fit into really any system. And, what I want to bring to this thing is just that good balanced attack and then figuring out how these guys can fit in that system moving forward. And whether you're talking about DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett or Russell Wilson, and Dwayne Brown, Will Disley. I could go on and on. There's a lot of great pieces to this puzzle, and I can't wait to get in with the coaches and get a chance to start really narrowing down how all these things fit together.
We're talking to Shane Waldron here, who is Seattle's new offensive coordinator. And yesterday, when you were talking about the offense, you made the point that balanced doesn't mean conservative. Balance does not mean that you're not taking shots down the field. Balance doesn't mean that you're taking it easy or not being aggressive on offense. Coach, what are the most important sort of offensive principles to you? Like, what are the things that you see that sort of guide the schemes that you build and the playbooks that you put together?
Sure. I think number one, and I know I've mentioned this, but I really do believe in the simple messaging that's going to go. The players will hear it over and over. Our staff, everyone will hear it over and over. But number one on offense is always going to start with all about the ball, and I know that that's a principle that's been promoted pretty strongly in Seattle. But I just want to make sure I'm bringing my own flavor and I guess angle on that and what that means to me and what that means for our offense, and just be able to reiterate how that's not always just necessarily the person that's carrying the ball. It's all 11 on the field every time, whether it's, from the quarterback position, the center position, just from that simple part of the exchange and being great fundamentally there, and how it blends with the running back and the receivers when they have the ball, how it carries over to the offensive line, the receivers, the tight ends, or anyone without the ball, finishing their blocks and finishing their assignment through the echo of the whistle. So number one, it's going to start there. So we'll always be preaching it. And like I said, it's not just the simple terms of holding on to the football, although that's obviously the end goal of every single possession there. But then from there, we want to be balanced. And when I talked about, that not being just balanced doesn't mean conservative. I'm just saying in the terminology or the way people might take certain words, balance to me is making the defense defend every blade of grass. And so there'll be that what we feel would be a good mix of run and pass and all the different things that go into a system. And I know I'm going to stay vague on specific scheme because I do think that that's an important competitive advantage leading into the off season where we can keep that in-house. But from a broad stroke perspective, I guess that's where I want to make sure that we're a balanced system in terms of how we're attacking the defense. And so within that, there's going to be chances to take shots down the field. There's going to be chances to really get the ball distributed horizontally and vertically as we approach our preparation of how we want to build this thing.
You definitely made a lot of people happy by saying a balanced attack doesn't mean that it's a conservative attack. Shane, I've been really curious about just something that's taken place in the NFL over the last couple of years, and I was curious for your thoughts on it. 2017, 2018, that Rams offense, it's arguably the best in the NFL, and over the last couple of seasons, it has fallen back to the rest of the pack. What happened?
I think the league it's a good league, right? It's a 50-50 league. If it was up to the if it was up to the way the thing's structured, everyone would be 8-8 every year, and you'd be battling on that last Sunday to end up in the playoffs or not. So I do think there's a cyclical element to the league. There's some years where we were really, really hot, and then some years where we ended up playing a little bit more like this past year, some more complimentary football in LA when our defense was playing really well. So, every year each team is going to be different. They're going to be built different. The 21 Seahawks are going to be built different than the 2020 Seahawks. But I think, just like the you can talk about the offensive production and stuff like that, but when it comes down to wins and losses in this league, I think the one thing I am proud of, and I had so much respect for how Sean McVay was able to build a culture and build a program in LA that was able to sustain success. And to me, a successful football team is if one side is not doing great one game, there's still special teams and defense that can pick it up. It's how does the team play complementary football together. So, there's things that go into every year, and then that's where I'm excited to go into Seattle now with what I have seen from afar, and now getting a chance to meet everyone. That has a culture there second to none, that's built to compete and builds everything around that competitive nature of things. And I think that's what's able to allow them to sustain the success that they have over this long period of time.
We're talking to Shane Waldron here. He's Seattle's new offensive coordinator. We've got just a couple more questions for him. Also wanted to ask you about Andy Dickerson, who is joining the Seahawks staff as well. He'll be the run game coordinator. He's been with the Rams the past few years. And you guys, well, he's almost a full decade with the Rams. You guys have some shared history. I was interested to see. You guys were college teammates, is that right?
Oh, yeah. We go way back. College teammates, and then going all the way back to starting out as interns in New England. I was there for a year, and then was able to help Andy out to get on there next with me, and so that's where our journey began in coaching together. And he really had a similar desire to coach and get into this business, so we were able to get that lucky break, so to speak. And then our paths kind of separated for a while there, and we did our own things, different places. And then when I was able to leave Washington and come back to the Rams, or come out to the Rams, I should say, Andy was already here, and so it was a good chance for him to. I was able to bridge the gap between him and Sean, and everything worked out from there. So we have a strong relationship, and I think the most important part in this business is he's a great friend, but he's also a great coach. So I think it's been a perfect combination of being able to work together and then also have that friendship that's lasted a long time. And it was a really important thing, and it was great when the job, when I started getting into the details of the job and coming up to Seattle, there was a chance to potentially bring Andy, and I was everything in my power, and Pete was great because he was all on board with it, and I think he'll be a great addition, working with Mike Solari and really getting to know everyone there just like I am, but having that guy that has a great familiarity with what I know and what I believe in, and will be a great person to help me along the way.
Shane, I'm sorry to keep bringing you back to Los Angeles, but you go on from Jared Goff to Russell Wilson. There's been a lot of talk about Jared Goff in the last couple of days, and I'm sure that you have a vision for what kind of offense ideally you want to see out on a football field that you're calling the plays for. Was Jared Goff a fit for that offense that you were a part of?
Yeah, I think Jared did a great job. I mean, we won a lot of games with Jared, and obviously able to get to a Super Bowl. And I think the great thing about, when you talk about offensive systems or schemes, all that stuff is, even getting to LA that first year, there's a system that's in place, but the players make the system, right? So each year, each team is a little different, like I talked about earlier. And I think, starting with the quarterback position, no two quarterbacks are exactly the same, right? So everyone's going to have a little different skill set. And then I think that's where it's our job as coaches to take that system and then understand what the players can do and really build it around their strengths. And so that's where, Jared did a great job for us there. Like I said, won a lot of games, was always tough as hell, always got up, always kept playing. And, I'm excited. I'll be supportive of him throughout his career and what he gets to do now in Detroit. But moving forward for 2021 with Russell Wilson, he's a guy that couldn't be more excited about it in terms of the things you talk about, what he can do. I mean, I would say it's just about everything. And so I think with his competitive nature and getting a chance to speak with him a little bit about, his big picture view of life and how he views what he wants to achieve. I mean, this is a guy that wants to be at the top of his game every single day, no matter what day of the year it is. And I think that's a great situation for myself, obviously, to walk into. And so that's where it's just a matter now of, okay, we know he can do a lot of different things. How can we really start to structure this thing around him and create an offense where he feels comfortable with it, where he feels like he can have full ownership by that first game? And, like I said, there'll be some challenges with that depending on, how the league structure works out with the off-season program. But, the thing with that is, the great thing with the NFL, everyone's dealing with the same issues, right? So whatever the circumstances are, we'll work and we'll look to compete in those situations to win every single day of the off season as well, and try to do it as better than anybody in the world.
My last question for you, Coach, and we really do appreciate your time this morning. You mentioned not wanting to share much about a scheme or those things, and there is a strategic advantage. Just in general terms, how much of when you go about putting together the offensive plan for Seattle this year, is it about kind of your system or what you'd like to run, and how much is it like what you think suits the players?
Well, I think the starting point is it's the system that I'm familiar with and that I like to run, which is a combination of a lot of different experiences I've kind of accumulated through my life in the coaching world. So I think that's the starting point, and so that'll be because I do think a huge part of this is fundamentals and technique, and I think sometimes as you get higher and higher up in these levels of football, these guys are so unbelievable athletically and can do so many different things that oftentimes some people can kind of skip past the basics, how we're hitting blocks, our hand placement, how receivers are running routes, exact track. So to me, the starting point with this system is being great fundamentally and having guys have that complete ownership of what the ground level of this system is based out of, and being great conceptual learners. And then once that foundation is really laid in this off season, then the system grows around the players, and that's where you look to maximize their skill sets, their abilities, and again, just always worried about what can they do and moving forward with that mindset.
He is offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. Coach, we really do. First of all, congratulations. Welcome to Seattle.
Thank you very much.
We're really excited to see it, and we hope that your girls adjust to the city as well too. But we really appreciate your time this morning.
No, they're fired up. They're ready to be part of the 12, and I can't wait to get up there. And I'm just hoping it's sooner rather than later as we negotiate these times.
Yeah, we do. Take care of your girls. We'll talk to you soon, Coach.